What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Welcome back here today to another extra SROS video. Today, I wanted to talk about the 2026 draft, as I kind of love to talk about these prospects in general. And today, I'm going to be doing kind of like a stock up, stock down. I have 10 names, 5 players that I think have raised their stocks throughout the last few weeks that were maybe a second round pick projected, and maybe they're getting the first, or non-lottery into the lottery, or non-top 10 into the top 10, and then kind of the reverse of that as well. And just being able to talk about some of these players in general with you guys. So I'll leave a timestamp in the description. I'm going to do my 5 stock up guys first, 5 stock down guys next. And I am recording this Monday before Big Monday, like Kansas, Houston. It's going to be a big game for at least one of the guys that we are going to talk about that I think needs to have like another statement performance. So we're going to start off with, I think, the highest stock up guy right now, Darius Jr. You show anybody 22 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 50, 44, 80 splits, like this is a top 3 pick in the draft when you're looking at those numbers. But then you're also factoring in that Darius is playing in probably the greatest freshman class we've ever seen, or at least it's one of the best all time. So I was definitely hesitant with Darius, and I'm just going to have like college basketball reference up here just to have as like a reference. I was a little bit hesitant on Darius going into the year. Obviously, when you're looking at some of these guards and a loaded guard class, you were kind of seeing that I don't know. You're kind of like going back to you're defaulting. Can you trust a small guard here with a top pick in the draft? And ever since conference play started, Darius has been one of the best players, not just in the SEC, not just like one of the best point guards in the country, but one of the best players in the country. He's averaging 22 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists on the season. You look at his basically like last few games, SEC, not what it was last year, right? This isn't as much of a gauntlet it was in 2025, but it's still really good. 24 points against Mississippi State, 28 against LSU, 31 points against Auburn. Recently, he had 20 points and 5 assists against Mizzou. Kind of bad game this past weekend, but you got to talk about what he did against Alabama. That game was that a Friday night? No, that was like a Wednesday night game last week against Alabama. They go into double overtime, and it's basically LeBaron Philon versus Darius. Like, we legitimately saw these guys, I think, elevate their stock before our very eyes. It's probably going to be game of the year in college basketball. Maybe it ends up getting topped. He played 50 minutes in that double overtime game, 59% from the field, 58% on twos, 60% on threes, 91% from the free throw line, 49 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. And I know that he is smaller, 6'3", 190 pounds. That was a big knock on maybe like a Jeremiah Fears last year. And we'll see what Darius measures in at the combine. But Acuff honestly has shown to me this year that he's one of the best athletes in this class. Reminds me a little bit of like Stephon Marbury back in the day, a little bit of Mike Bibby, that I think he's going to play up because I think he is one of the best athletes in this class. He can throw it down on you. He can contest you as well. He's not going to be somebody that is probably going to be an all defensive guy one day, but I do think when you want somebody that can elevate your offense and just kind of slow things down and look for that floor general, Darius could be that guy because he's somebody that sees the floor extremely well. He's got such a quick burst. He can run extremely well in transition, both as a ball handler, like definitely as a ball handler, and as kind of just like the guy running on the side that could either be a cutter or slasher. He could be a trailer in some sorts and kind of get a loose ball or a miss if somebody misses like a layup or a contested shot. And I just think that he should be in top 10 conversations. Does it hurt a little bit that it's a loaded guard class? Yeah, because you're going to have the Darren Peterson conversation, the Mikael Brown Jr. conversation. Keaton Wagler is another guard that's going to go maybe in the top 10. LeBaron Philon I just talked about. Bennett Sturts, like there are plenty of guys that can be, I don't know if I want to say franchise point guard, but could be a solid starter in the NBA for a long time. And you try to see some teams throw out these 6'7" raw, non-shooting wings in a way, or maybe even should be bigs at the 1 to try to modernize the game. Like everyone's kind of looking for that next Ben Simmons, but can actually space the floor. You're looking for that point Draymond or point LeBron that we've seen where it gives you the advantage. Now you don't have like a complete negative defender out there, but you have somebody that can initiate your offense right out of the half court. And I do think Darius is going to be that guy for some team next year. The shot, I think, is beautiful. I love it. He's a phenomenal ball handler on the perimeter. He can create separation. I think he's a pretty safe prospect in a way. Like, I definitely like Darius more than Jeremiah Fears last year. I might be wrong about it. I like Kasparas Akachonis a ton last year. I think I'm going to like Darius more this year. I think last year's draft, I really loved the top 5, and then it kind of got iffy, right? Like, my top 5 was Peterson, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper. My number 3, I think, was Edgecombe. 4 was Khan. 5 was Ace. And then I'd like Trey Johnson right there as well. And then there was a little bit of a tier drop off. like theirs would be pretty close. I think I would have him ahead of Trey Johnson as a prospect, if we're being honest with you. And I just think if you're not going to get a top 3 pick, who knows? Maybe he ends up going 4 if a team really falls in love with him. Sacramento would probably take him at number 4, to be honest with you. Now, I don't know if I love that for him. I don't know if I would really love him in Indiana, Brooklyn. Like, these teams do have their guards kind of like their lead ball handlers figured out. So there's, I think, limited spots for him in the top 5 going forward. Like Atlanta, I think they could use another point guard for sure long term. I'm not totally sold on Dyson Daniels as the one. You're kind of looking at Sacramento, I just mentioned, in a way. I mean, Milwaukee, they have Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. for now, but I don't think that would deter you. I mean, him throwing lobs to Cooper Flag, I mean, sign me the F up. I would love that a lot. Obviously, like San Antonio or OKC, 2 teams that can definitely get some lottery picks as well. Chicago, no. So I think there are a limited amount of teams, because I don't know if you can really trust a Cuff at the 2. But I just think like his stock has risen so much. And maybe that's me just being kind of later on him, or a little bit more cautious with his ranking, in my opinion. And that just looks like I was wrong in the first half of the collegiate year, but better late than never, right? So I do think Darius has been a huge stock riser since SEC play started, and is turning into one of the best point guards in the country before our very eyes. So next up, I have Dalen Swain of Texas. Dalen Swain is like unreal in isolation this year. He is phenomenal with the ball in his hands in a way. And I thought Dalen Swain would have been a top 45 pick last year. I don't think I made my 75 big board before he undeclared and was going to transfer and follow his coach to Texas. But this has been one of the best transfers in the country this year. I caught his, I kind of started to learn about Dalen Swain last year and some Big East play when that started, watching Xavier. And he has gone up from 11 points per game to 18 points per game this year. The defense has, I think, still been as good as it was last year. And I think that was going to earn him a top 50 or top 45 pick in the NBA draft because of his defense. He's averaging 7 rebounds a night. He's shooting 80% from the free throw line, 61% effective field goal percentage. He's shooting 65% on 2s. The one thing is, and 57% from the field, 33% from 3. The 3-point shot doesn't have a great track record in a way. He was not really a shooter whatsoever last year. He's becoming more comfortable as a shooter this year, but he's still far from like being a sure thing at the NBA level. Another SEC prospect and maybe a weaker conference this year, but is still going up against some really athletic wings and bigs in that conference. And I just think Dalen Swain is like that prototypical, I can't say 3-and-D because he's not a 3-point shooter by any means, but I think he's more of like Ryan Dunn is a bad example because Ryan Dunn was so much better of a defender, but I think Swain is like kind of right there in a way, because I trust this guy guarding multiple positions out there. I trust this guy trying to get a chase down block. I trust him as a post defender. I do think there is a 3-point shot in his game, where Ryan Dunn, I was so skeptical about the 3-point shot in general out of Virginia. I mean, it was horrible, those numbers, but the reason why he should have been a first-round pick was Dunn's elite defense. I don't know their ages off the top of my head of Swain and Dunn, but Swain is a true junior this year as well, spent the first 2 years at Xavier. So I just think like somebody that was maybe like fringe first rounder going into the year, I think this guy should 100% be a first round pick. I'm actually going to drop, I think, a top 60 big board this week or next week. I would like to do it before the conference tournament start, which is very soon. And Dalen Swain is going to be a top 30 pick for me, 100%. I just think when there's so much volatility in the back half of the draft, I want to take somebody as not like a sure thing, because nobody's a sure thing. But if you get this guy on a team that, hey, 1, you can never have enough forwards in this league. 2, he could guard NBA players, I think, today. And 3, you have him with a good floor general point guard. I think he could just be perfect going forward. Like, all right, he's not going to end up in OKC. You never know. He could end up in OKC, but I'm trying to think of like teams in the back half. Like, I mean, I would love him with Cade in Detroit, but I don't know if you want another non-sure thing as a 3-point shooter. I would love him in Minnesota. Oh my God. Yeah, I would love him in Minnesota. The idea of that gets me kind of excited, not going to lie. I don't think Denver owns their first round pick this year. Does Denver own their first? I don't know. Maybe if Denver does, like I would like him in Denver a ton, playing off of Jokic. So there are plenty of spots I think Swain can go in that 20 to 30 range. And I think the way he's playing, like you told me he's the 17th overall pick. I'm not really disagreeing with you right now, because I do think there's a good chance he can probably not go into the lottery, because I think teams would be a little bit scared of the 3-point shot in a way. But I just think I just buy in the defense so much, and it's a weak wing draft after DeBonsa. It really is. And like, yeah, you have Caleb Wilson and Cameron Boozer, I guess, after those guys too, because they're probably more, they kind of play like bigs. Like DeBonsa's like a true wing in a way, where it's like Thomas Houck, Kone Yesufu. Joshua Jefferson and some of these guys where I just kind of like Dalen Swain a lot more. I don't know about Jefferson, but Nate Ament, I guess, is another wing I could talk about, or another wing in general. And I want to talk about Nate Ament, who I feel like we've gone like, he was my number 4 prospect coming out of high school. And then he started to drop as the season started. He could not have an efficient game whatsoever against any top competition. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to have only SEC guys to start this off. 3 SEC guys in a row. But Nate Ament has been playing some better basketball as of late. He's averaging 18 points this year, 6.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, shooting 42% from the field, 32% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. He does get to the free throw line a decent amount, 7.5 times a night. That is very encouraging. I would like for him to be, I don't know if like a better athlete is the word, but just like willing to be more physical down low and like try to throw a dunk down or 2 more, right? Like use your elbows, just kind of get like bodying people down there. But he does get to the free throw line a ton. And I just think like with Ament, this is one of the toughest guys to predict in this class. And I think there's going to be a lot of Zachary Reese comps because of the body type. But you got to remember, too, Nate Ament was like a point guard in high school, and he had such a late growth spurt. So he's 6'10", 207. You're going to hope that, I don't know if it's going to be from like Rick Barnes or like whenever he gets into an NBA developmental like staff and group, he's going to bulk up. He's going to get stronger. He's going to be willing to want to absorb contact a little bit more. And you just hope that you could like teach this 3-point shot in a way, because I don't think he's got bad court vision at all. I think he's good enough with the ball in his hands right now, but it's gonna be like I think just a trial period, and that's why I think his spot, like where he ends up getting drafted to, matters a lot in a way. Like I just hope a team can have multiple good point guards that can kind of run the offense for him, because that's not something he's going to be able to do right away. I hope that he's given the opportunity to have bad shooting nights and he's not going to lose his confidence, because I think confidence is going to be a massive thing with Nate Ament's development, that you're going to have to allow him to just keep running sets for him, keep getting in the ball. I'm not saying you need to give him 15 shots a night as a rookie, but I don't think you need to discourage him from just getting that 3-point shot up, because I do think he could be a good 3-point shooter at the NBA level. I want to say that his stock is up as well, because I do think after the start of the year where he had like really bad games against some of the top competition that we saw, because like I could just pull up his game log real quick. He had like his best games against Mercer, Northern Kentucky, Northern Florida. He played well against Rice, Tennessee State, Rutgers, and then struggled a lot against Houston, Kansas. Syracuse, not really a great team now, but he struggled against them. He struggled against Illinois, Louisville. SEC play, though, like was going to be a big test for him, and he's been showing up as well a ton in SEC. Like 29 against Kentucky, 28 against Ole Miss, like teams that have some solid perimeter depth going forward. That's a lot more encouraging than the lack of competition he had early in the year, because it was reminding me a little bit more of Yegor from last year at BYU, where he got off to this incredible start shooting the ball. He struggled a ton in Big 12 play throughout the middle part of the year. He finished strong in a way, but I think it's huge for Nate Ament to show scouts that he can really attack like good defenses, and he can get to the free throw line a ton. And you just got to buy into the mechanics. And hey, if Yegor could shoot 40% from 3 this year after what we watched in Big 12 play last year, and I know he's not a great shooter, but Scotty Barnes has had such a developmental success, I would say, with his 3-point shot, given how bad it was at Florida State, or even like Peyton Watson this year for the Denver Nuggets. Like, you can develop these guys' shots. It's just got to be the right system going forward. But I will say, though, Nate Ament's stock, I think, has gone back up. And in like a weaker wing top like part of the draft, I think Nate Ament can easily still be a top 8 pick in this draft. And we'll see how he finishes out the season. One of my favorite like immediate role players in the NBA, Joshua Jefferson of Iowa State. I think Iowa State's got a couple draft prospects on their team. I think Joshua Jefferson might be the only first rounder. Milan, maybe. Taman, probably a second rounder, late second rounder. But Joshua Jefferson, I mean, there's like a Kyle Anderson comp. I just think he's like this year's like jack of all trades, master of none in a way. But I just think like he's 6'8", 220. This guy is a beast out there. He's very physical. He's very strong. He's got phenomenal court vision for somebody at 6'8". Once again, all these measurements are kind of TBD, because I don't think Jefferson was at the combine last year, so we don't know his height for sure. But if he's measured in like 6'8", 220, I think that's exactly the size you would want for somebody as like a nice backup power forward for a good team next year. I think he can impact a playoff series next year. He's averaging 16 points, 7.5 rebounds, 5.3 assists a night. In the game-winning shot against Houston, like he made a phenomenal pass to the corner. He has great reads, running the pick and roll, getting the ball to the short roll, finding a cutter, being able to drive and then kick it back out as well. Little Cameron Boozer to him. So I think Jefferson Like, he started out at St. Mary's first 2 years. He's a true senior at Iowa State. I mean, who knows with eligibility now? He could probably come back. But I do think he would be a first-round pick. I don't think he's going to be a perfect offensive player. I wonder, like, he's not going to be able to take 11 shots a night next year, most likely whatever team he ends up on. But I believe in the three-point shot, even though it's a smaller track record. I don't think he's going to be a super high-volume three-point shooter at the NBA level, but I think it's going to be there. Free throw percentage, you would like for it to be a little bit better, and maybe he's just not going to shoot the ball well at the NBA level. Like, it's definitely a possibility, but I do think that there is an impactful player on both ends of the floor here. He's in like a tweener spot a little bit. Like, can you trust him to guard bigger fives? Can you trust him to guard quicker wings? Maybe he's not going to be great at either one of those at the NBA level, but I just think he's got high floor in general because I think he's very smart. He plays very hard. He's very physical. He's going to crash the glass. He's going to make the right reads. And I think Joshua Jefferson, I don't know. I didn't really know much about him like last year. I didn't watch a ton of Iowa State in 2025. I'm even like trying to refresh my memory on the roster. Like, Taman was there. Jefferson was there. I mean, they won a tournament game, right? Yeah, they beat Lipscomb, and then they ended up losing to Ole Miss, who I think beat UNC last year. They had Keyshawn Gilbert, who like recently debuted for the Washington Wizards. But they're like last year, and like Curtis Jones as well. But like I wasn't really like locked into Iowa State basketball. And now this year, like Jefferson has made me, and like obviously Iowa State's a great team this year as well. So it's hard not to watch them. And they're part of like arguably, the best conference in the Big 12. So I think Jefferson maybe could have been a second rounder, like going to people's like on their draft boards going into this year. But I do think that he is he's a first round pick now for sure. And could even go towards that lottery. And then my last draft riser, Bennett Sturts. So I talked about it before, all these guards in this class, and Sturts is also going to be a polarizing one because of his age. He's older than basically every other guard we're going to talk about. Started out D2 basketball, goes to Drake, helps them win a tournament game last year against Mizzou, and even played well against Texas Tech last year in the round of 32, which is like insane for a mid-major team like Drake. And then he ends up transferring following Ben McCollum, who's now the head coach of Iowa. He was the head coach of Drake last year. Sturts plays a ton. He's like leading the college or the nation in minutes. He's averaging 20 points, 4.5 assists. He's shooting 84% from the free throw line, getting there 5 times a night, 60% on twos, 39% on threes, 50% from the field. But this man's like game log as of late has been unreal. Like, you're looking at what he's done since Big Ten play started, and it's incredible stuff this year, where it's just like a good conference, Big Ten. You can make an argument it's the best conference. I think it's probably number 2 right behind the Big 12. But he has like 32 points recently against Oregon, 22 against Washington, 36 against Northwestern. He has, 32 against Maryland, 19 against Purdue, 25 against a good Nebraska team, and 23 against a solid Wisconsin team as well. Now, I'm not going to say that's the best competition in the world, like Oregon, Washington, Maryland, not great teams this year at all. Northwestern could definitely be competitive still, but I think Sturts is he's such a fascinating point guard in a way, because he likes to play at his own pace. It's very methodical. He likes to get these sets like run out. He's not going to rush anything, which I think is great. And I think you want somebody that's not going to turn the ball over a lot, which he doesn't. For his usage rate, he's only averaging 2 turnovers a night. You definitely take that. And Sturts has just been a good shooter throughout his career. He's going to like play for you hard every single night in a way. It's just like, I'm trying to figure out like his comp off the top of my head, because he's a good athlete. Like, he could throw it down on you for sure. I mean, I don't think he's going to change your franchise around or turn it around, and we'll see how he's going to look defensively. Like, he's 6'4", 180. He feels taller than like 6'4" out there. Like, he doesn't feel like Darius is a better defender, but I would say Sturts, like, he feels like a bigger Jeremiah Fears. And Fears, I don't know what he's going to be listed on this site. Jeremiah Fears last year was 6'4", 180, so basically the same in a way. I would have to maybe just kind of watch Jeremiah Fears Oklahoma tape again just to see the difference. But Sturts, I think, I don't know. I guess like going into the year, I had him as like my 12th prospect. I just think like at the start of the year, everybody else is wowing you a lot more, and he's always going to get dinked with his age a little bit. So I think he dropped down a little bit. I think he's a lottery pick for sure at the end of the day. This guard class is loaded. So obviously there's a lot of guys that have had their stock rise as of late. So this is not everybody, just 5 guys that I kind of wanted to talk about. Bennett Sturts of Iowa, Joshua Jefferson at Iowa State. So shout out 2 schools in Iowa. Nate Ament at Tennessee, Dalen Swain at Texas, and Darius Akuff at Arkansas. All right, so now let's get into the 5 stock down guys. One of them has to be Jaden Quainance from Kentucky, who's only played 4 games this year. He had the injury going into the year, the ACL tear that he suffered last year at Arizona State. So we knew that he was going to have a delayed start this year at Kentucky. Kentucky's had their issues on both ends of the floor. Start of the year, they've been playing better, I guess, compared to like their out of conference schedule. And man, like December 20th, Jaden Quaidon's debuts against St. John's. And I remember like falling in love with what he was doing defensively, because I'm watching Arizona State stuff here and there last year. It's not a great Sun Devil team from 2025, but this year, like, he was going to be part of a team that maybe had title aspirations, right? They spent a lot in NIL money. Otega Owe could have ended up winning the Naismith Award this year, and he has 10 points, 8 rebounds, and a 12-point out-of-conference win against St. John's, and the defense looked unreal. He was guarding guys well on the perimeter and the post. He was contesting shots left and right. And since then, we've only seen 3 games. We saw 8 minutes against Bellarmine. We saw 24 minutes against Alabama. And then we saw 18 minutes in a game he started against Mizzou. He had 1 point in those 18 minutes. And we have yet to see him play since January 7th due to injury. You can make an argument, Malachi Moreno, like, who should be maybe the center that should go in the first round from Kentucky, has been like just more impressive this year. It's just because he's been available. I think Quaidance is going to be a fascinating prospect and has been like a full shutdown as of late. We might not see him again this year for the Wildcats. Don't quote me on that. But if we don't see him again, I have no idea what he's going to do, because he can hit the transfer portal, right? And he can like bounce back his stock in 2027, which is a weaker class than 2026. So that could be a good thing. But then again, like, this is a weaker big man class in a way, or a center class. And if JQ is looked at as like a true 5 at the NBA level by a lot of these scouts and front offices, that could help out his draft stock a little bit and could have him go in the first round. But yeah, he could just like transfer or stay at Kentucky for 2027, have a healthy season, and look like the best defensive player in the country that we thought he could have been before the ACL tear. It sucks, but he's still like incredibly young. Like, he could not go in the draft last year out of Arizona State because he missed the draft date cutoff because he was so young. So it's not the end of the world, and he could still get a nice money or a nice bag probably in NIL. It's just tough to justify this as like a lottery pick right now just because of the unknown. And who knows, like, maybe he's going to be fine going forward. It's just like, you don't know if that's going to flare up, and will teams invest maybe their only first round pick in him? It's tough to say right now. I mean, I still like the upside of JQ more than like a Daymar, Henry Basar. It's like, do you like JQ more or Morris Johnson? Do you like him more or Patrick Gungba at Duke? There's definitely questions about JQ, who going into the year could have been the 6th overall pick, 5th overall pick. Now it's tough to even think he's a top 20 pick right now, but we'll see what ends up happening with him going forward. He could go to the 2027 draft, which is a segue to my next player, I don't think he's going to go in the 26th draft anymore. And I just wanted to talk about him because JT Toppin friggin' sucks, man. He tears his ACL against Arizona State, which I guess kind of ironic. JQ tore his ACL at Arizona State from the last player I talked about. He is one of the more dominant inside scorers in college basketball. I don't think his like stock has changed too much throughout the year. I thought he was like a back half of the first round. I don't think that's really changed. I think it's easy for him, or it's not easy for him, but like, he's one of those players that I think can dominate the college level offensively. He's not going to get 7 post-ups a game or anything close to that at the NBA level. I think he could redshirt next year. And like, he's either 2027 draft or 2028 draft, right? Like, if he thinks he could play enough next year off the ACL tear, who knows? I don't know how many games he's realistically going to play next year at Texas Tech. Like, could sign a contract there. Like, they got the oil money. They're going to pay him, where I don't think he's in the 26th draft anymore. So I guess like stock is completely gone for this class. That's why I wanted to talk about him. So I think like, oh my God, man, it's absolutely brutal. Like, he's one of the best players in the country. He's going to be an All-American. And he could go to the 27 draft if he plays like enough in the back half of next year, or he can go in the 2028 draft because he could redshirt next year as well, and still have that eligibility. Who knows though? He could play next year and 2028. Nobody really knows what the NCAA will allow anymore. He can honestly go to the draft this year, get drafted, and then go back to college at this rate. It just sucks that like JT Toppin tore his ACL, which I think eliminates his 2026 draft stock, and is going to be, I think, back in college in 27. Who knows though if he'll redshirt or not. Next up, we have Darren Peterson. So I don't want to spoil anything, and I'm not fully there yet. This is like the toughest big 3 to kind of analyze, because they're all so good in their own ways. And if you've watched any of my draft content, Peterson has been my number 1 post-prolific prep going into this year. And I haven't changed. I haven't stayed off of number 1 Darren Peterson, even when he had the hamstring issue at the beginning of the year. Obviously, it's been talked about a ton, and I don't really know what the kid's going through. So I'm not going to sit here and say he doesn't want to play. Who knows? Like, somebody had a good comp on Twitter where it's like, you want to like say that these athletes should be out there all the time, but what if he's trying to hold back from suffering a serious injury, soft tissue, muscle, whatever, and that's why he's not like playing as much or trying as hard right now? And the person on Twitter comped it to Tyrese Halliburton, who was dealing, I think it was the calf issue throughout the playoffs, and he plays Game 7 and he blows out his Achilles, right? Like, you never really know what these guys are going through, and it's tough for Peterson, who I think I mean, this is like also my subjective stock up, stock down. Like, I think bringing Peterson in this video is like the most, I don't know, obscure stock down, because if anything, it'd be 1 and 2, which I think is a big deal for me, analyzing and evaluating this class. Cause like I never had anybody else but Cooper Flagg in 2025 as my number one guy. I really never had anybody but Alex Sarr, like after December, as my number one guy. Like obviously 23 was always Wemby. 22, it was always Chet for me. Peterson, I don't know. I'm getting close to making maybe DeBonta as my number one guy in this class. And even Cameron Boozer has a great case for it as well. It's just tough though when you're watching those two guys like dominate every game they've been in. And Peterson is like DeBonta is legitimately the best scoring wing prospect I think we have seen since Kevin Durant. And I think Cameron Boozer is like the most dominant, productive big we have seen maybe for somebody's senior year of high school into college basketball. He's like arguably the best player on the best team in the country. Because you can say Michigan was the best team in the country. Duke just beat them this past weekend at a neutral site. So you can make an argument those two guys should be over Peterson. Like I said, I'm recording this before they play Houston tonight. I'm pretty sure he's playing. It's going to be a big game for him. Houston might have 6 guys that end up getting drafted. Like they're loaded defensively, and it's going to be a tough test. We'll see how much playing time he gets. He played 32 minutes against Cincinnati in a bad loss. This is a team that gave Arizona its first loss of the season, and Peterson didn't play in that game. They got blown out by Iowa State, as AJ DeBonta just beats Iowa State with not really the greatest roster around him, with Richie Saunders getting hurt. So I think Peterson's stock is down a little bit. Next up, we have Neo Abdelas of Virginia Tech. I mean, I had him as like a late first round guy. I think it was like 24, around that range going into the year on my initial big board. He was on my draft radar for last year's class. I had a second round grade on him, watching some tough Grease tape online. But yeah, I think Abdelas is definitely turned into a 2027 guy. Like he had this 33-point game against Providence earlier in the year. They win in overtime. He has 33 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. The highlight tape goes like viral on Twitter, and I remember not really moving him up after that because I'm like, it's a long freaking year. It's a long year. This is an out-of-conference game in November. I don't think we need to get a little bit too reactionary to that. And it's been kind of rough for him since Abdelas. Virginia Tech has not been the most consistent team this year. They've had, I don't know, they're good moments, they're bad moments in the ACC in a way. I mean, Virginia Tech right now, they're 18-10, they're 11th in the ACC, so they have struggled since kind of the out-of-conference schedule has ended. They do have some top 25 wins. Clemson, I think there's another one in there. Did they beat UNC? They might have another top 25 win this year. He's averaging 12 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. The man cannot really finish around the rim. He's shooting 30% from 3 on 5 attempts a night, 38% from the field. He's shooting 46% on 2s, 66% from the free throw line. Maybe he ends up going in the 2026 draft, and nothing is going to shock me anymore because of Peyton Watson is such an outlier to this day, maybe, but I'll pull up Peyton Watson's college stats. You probably already know what they are. Peyton Watson was terrible at UCLA. Really bad offensively. If I can actually just pull up his numbers real quick. 3 points, 3 rebounds, 32, 22, 68 splits. And this guy could win most. He's not going to win most improved this year because of injuries, but he could be a $80 million man in the offseason. You never know with these guys' development, but Abdelas is a freshman. He's got next year eligibility. I don't know if it's going to be at Virginia Tech. I don't know if it's in the transfer portal. I think that this year, it's a very deep second round class, not knowing who's going to go back to school, right? I'm trying to think of random set, maybe Morris Johnson goes back to school. Maybe Isaiah Evans goes back to school. You don't really know, but I don't think Abdelas is good enough right now to go in the first round. And I think, I don't really know what he's getting paid from Virginia Tech. It might even be out there. I just think his draft stock is taking a big hit where 2027 feels a little bit more likely for Abdelas in a weaker class. And then the last guy I want to talk about, Dash Daniels. I guess this is a very weak international class because a lot of international guys are getting paid a ton of money to come to the NBAs, like Abdelas. So Dash Daniels is playing in the NBL this year for Melbourne United. I think Kareem Lopez could have been in my stock up section. Dash, it's basically defense. It's point of attack defense. It's rangy athleticism. It's a guy that can get into passing lanes, and that's what you're taking him in the first round with. I can't justify it though. He's not getting a ton of shots up at Melbourne United when I'm watching him, and it's just really tough to justify the rawness and just what we haven't seen offensively from Daniels this year. Now, Hugo Gonzalez is honestly an interesting comp last year. Hugo Gonzalez tested out extremely well at the combine. He didn't play a ton for Real Madrid, given that that's not really expected out of him last year, unless you're the Luka Doncic of the world, and he's a generational superstar overseas. So Dash could definitely be a fine enough NBA player. You might honestly get more shots up per game next year than he would at Melbourne United right now. I don't fully know if it's like draft or like he's 100% going into the draft. Like, who knows? Maybe he's playing in the States next year. Maybe he's, I don't know, transferring to a college. Like, that's a possibility in a weaker class as well. So I don't really know what the whole story is there, but I just don't think like I would take him in the first round right now. I don't have a top 30 grade on him, and it's maybe me being stubborn and not like saying that I could project him to be a solid enough shooter. Like, maybe that's why I think you go just outside the first round last year, and he's looked like a top 25 rookie this year for sure. It's top 20 rookie. So yeah, I would say Dash has definitely taken a little bit of a stock hit this year. And the international class like isn't great outside of Kareem Lopez. Like, I think Delario still gets drafted. He's played a lot better in the ACB than he has in the EuroLeague. Daniels will get drafted still. We'll see going forward. And there's maybe a couple other guys. So yeah, that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Just to recap, the stock down guys were Neil Abdulas, Dash Daniels, Darren Peterson. Like, Darren Peterson, take it with a grain of salt. He could let it go for 30 against Houston tonight. And like, I'm just like, just remove this part of the video, but I just wanted to bring him up. JT Toppin and Jaden Quaidens were the stock down guys. If you did enjoy, drop a thumbs up. Let me know if you agree, disagree with anything down below, or a stock up, stock down guy for you as well. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.